Too deep here. Oh, there's one. I thought it was too deep, but he must have been right around in that neighborhood. Little guy. Right in front of those reeds, or weeds, I should say. There ain't no reeds there, it's weeds. Right there. A beautiful, beautiful little tiny Apache Lake bass, folks. Right now, I'm throwing a jig. All I'm doing is going up the river, and we're gonna work this jig a little bit. Bass love jigs, they eat crawdads. We're here in mid-April, and the wind's blowing pretty good. Probably a good thing to throw would be a jerk bait or a crankbait as well, but I wanted to start out and throw a little bit in some of these pockets, knowing that the bass are still gonna be moving shallow. But right now we're on these cliff walls, and these cliff walls, believe it or not, some of them have shelves on them. Bass will spawn on those shelves, and they eat crawdads. So I thought we'd just come up here and try this and see, and we're gonna get back here in the river and just see if we can't catch some of these fish. You know, I've been bit twice so far this morning. I caught one right off the bat before we got started, but here's the deal, is if you ever want to throw a bait that you can actually probably get out and catch fish day in and day out on, it's just a jig. And this is a spider jig I'm throwing, and it works really well. Something that's not got a weed guard on it. I'm throwing more in the sandy areas and on the ledges, things like that, but if you get hung up a lot, you can grab the ones that got the weed guard on them as well. But I love this. That little twin tail really works great in this kind of water, and you can almost swim this jig in. And a lot of times the fish, when you pull it off the bottom and go to work it back in, will hit the bait on the way in. So it kind of works as both, as a little swim jig and just throwing it on the bottom and dragging it. So we're gonna try that. We're gonna work our way up. I'm gonna pick up and move. This is real, what would you say, steep walls right here. Not that I'm against it, but I wanna go find something that's a little bit more flatter, and there is some stuff up in the top of the river here. So we're gonna go work up there, start there today, see what we can't find, and then work our way back down and try to catch us some fish right here at Apache Lake. That one don't feel too bad. I'm bringing the whole school with me. You know, we pulled into this area. Look at that little dude. Come here. We pulled into this little area right here off the main beaten path coming out of the river here at Apache. And I noticed a school of something in there, and I wanted to find out what it was. So I figured, well, I'll pull out the old jerk bait and see what it is, and it's a bunch of these little guys. Sometimes you can get a big one out of that, but there we go. We'll let him go back with his school. Apache definitely had a good spawn last year. I mean, we're seeing quite a bit of largemouth. I have yet to catch a smallmouth, but in saying that, we've got some big largemouth in this lake. Got him, little guy. Well, he's trying to play tough. Oh, little jerkbait fish. You know, I threw in a topwater bait hoping, oh well, yeah, he's still a little guy. I threw in a topwater hoping they'd bite that, but they wouldn't. They're fun to catch, but they're all little. I saw that one big fish follow this bait up, and I thought, well, maybe I can get him to bite that topwater bait. Got him. Got that one out of that hole in the weeds. Come on, son. Now there's a little bit better fish for you. Come on. I'll let you go. I'll let you go. Look at that fish, folks. On a brush hog. Right in the middle of the pocket of the weeds. Look at that. Beautiful bass right there. What I did was we caught some jerkbait fish out here. Put them over here. We caught some jerkbait fish right out in the neck of this, some smaller ones. I saw some big ones coming up, but then we come in here, it is full of grass. Look at the grass in here. And there's little pockets with shiny spots, and I'm just throwing in the pockets. So I pulled out my little brush hog there, 3/8 ounce weight, Texas rigged, and what I'm doing is I'm just kind of throwing it in the pockets of these weeds. Just kind of sitting still. You can see bass roaming around in these weeds, big ones. And the only thing I've got left to throw at is just the little pockets. They could have beds. I can't see as far down. All I can do is see the little pockets. That's all I can see. You don't see much of this at Apache Lake, where you can actually get into a spot where you actually have a big weed bed in here with just pockets in it. And I'm gonna throw out to some of these bare pockets and hope I can catch something out of just the bare pockets. I got it. I got it. That's a giant. That is a giant. That's a monster, folks. Oh my goodness. That is a giant. Oh, look at the size of that one. Flipping in there. Come on in here, baby. Oh, golly. Oh, my knee. Come here. Come here. And that's what I'm talking about, son. Look at the size of that beast. Look at the size of that beast. Oh, that calls for a DD26 fishing scale right there. That is a giant bass. Let me get my scale out. All right, here we go. Oh my goodness. 7 pounds, 7.86 pounds, almost an 8-pounder there, folks. Well, I would believe that could be a nice little Facebook post. Oh my goodness, look at the size of that. Let's get a quick picture and get her back in. Oh my gosh, that's an Apache Lake bass. Oh, we got a picture, 8 pounds all day. Oh, all right, baby, let's let her go. Let's let her go. Those are the kind of fish we got swimming in Apache Lake right there. Oh my goodness. I had a feeling, because it was a bare spot in the middle of the weeds, I couldn't quite see. All I could see was a fin go down, but I saw a big giant bass swim through that area. That was it. And I'm like, that's the only place I can cast in there. There's gotta be a bed or something in there. And then we caught that one fish out of there, and I'm like, that wasn't the size fish I saw. Oh. Oh, I got one there, right under that bush. Right under that bush. Come on. On that brush hog. Come on, son. Little book bass right here. I'm flipping right up underneath those little bushes right there. That was a nice little fish. You know, a lot of times when you're Texas rigging, especially in this area, jigs are fun. I love jigs, and we're gonna throw probably more jigs, but being that we're in this little brushy area like this, we caught those little ones. We caught that huge one back here, and I came out just a little farther, and I'm just pitching out to the brush out there, get it close to the brush, let it fall down in there, and see if they'll come out and whack it. That one stomped on it. I thought it was bigger than that when he hit. You know, when you're doing this kind of fishing too, it's important to know that you gotta be using 17-pound test at least when you're flipping in this stuff. Some guys like 20, but I use 17 a lot. It works good for me. But to flip in this stuff and all this grass, big ones love to hide in that grass. There's gotta be some big ones in there. There's one, little guy. He was swimming out with it, and he about ate that little jig. I was getting up in here to make a long cast. What I found was this pebbled rock, and I like to throw this kind of a jig up against that stuff and work it back just to see if there's anything in there. There's one. There's one on that jig, right off that point. Not a bad little fish. Just dragging that jig out on this point, on these flats. And that's the big key, I think. Get up here, baby. That is the big key to catching fish in the springtime, folks, and that's finding where they like to be. And where they like to be is shallow water up on a flat. If you find something that's got a deep water access for the bass to go to, that's great. But a lot of times you get just on these shallow flats and you can catch them. There's a lot about this particular flat that we're on that's really good, which it drops off into about 10, 12 foot of water. And you can see the point goes out, that blonde, that sandy area up there, and then you'll see the dark water. Now, largemouth tend to want to, hang where they got access to some kind of deep water. So when I'm trying to fish for them in the spring, I like to try to kind of pull off a little bit where I see the dark hit the light water and fish shallow in there, versus say on a big flat of nothing, all you see is mud and maybe a little pebbled rock or something. That's a good smallie area, but for, smallies used to love it on these points all the way out, and you could just see the big round circles. But with largemouth, they kind of like to tend to hang off where you actually have some drop off, and that's where you're gonna catch them. There's one little guy. Well, come on, buddy. Dragging that thing. These little buck bass. Get up here. I'm trying to be all big. You'll catch those little ones. That's the thing, those little males will run up there. But I'm gonna try just a little deeper. My boat's sitting in 6, 7 foot of water right now, so I'm kind of coming off this point right here in the middle of this cut. This point probably runs out pretty good. It's a good little spot to check. Just let your jig kind of drag it through there, down there. See if you can get bumped. Hey folks, for my tip of the week, one thing very important to remember about when you're doing reservoir fishing like we're doing, especially early in the spring. From the Roosevelt Dam, the water comes from below the dam there, and when they release it, it's really cold water towards the bottom of the lake. And so to remember that the lake will make a few changes as you go through from one dam to the next dam. So what I'm saying is if the water's nice and cool up there, they might be spawning up there. It could be a whole different bite. And this is something that a lot of fishermen overlook. And it's very important to remember this. You're gonna have colder water up there. So the fish might be spawning up there. And as you come down the lake to the other part of the dam, the water's a couple of degrees warmer. The fish are doing a whole different thing. So down here, they might be hitting top water. Up there, they might be hitting jigs. It's very important to make sure that when you're fishing a body of water like Apache Lake, Roosevelt, any of those lakes, that things change. The water temperatures change on each end of the lake, and the fish are doing different things at each end of the lake. So remember that, and that's gonna help you. If you wanna jig fish and you wanna catch some spawners, you might wanna be up at the beginning of the lake, and towards the end of the lake, if you wanna catch some topwater fish or some swim bait fish, you could probably come down here and get those post spawners. So you've got all kinds of different things happening on a lake, but I'm telling you, if you take that in note, it's gonna help you catch a lot more fish on maybe your favorite bait. one. There's a good one. Yeah. Just throwing out in front of me. Come on, Mr. Jigfish. Oh, come on, baby. There's another good one. Decent one. We should say decent. Come on. I came all the way up to the dam. Get in here. What in the world? Look at that fish. You tore up my jig. Now I gotta get a new jig. Look what they do to that jig. What we've done is we've come up to the dam area, fishing a lot clearer water. I can see fish roaming around. I really feel I could catch them, the smaller ones that I'm seeing. Wow, there's some big ones right there swimming. I think I could catch them on a little swim bait or something. But in saying that, the jig's working out pretty good too. We're catching some nice ones on it. So I'm just gonna put another jig on. We're gonna keep going. But a lot of times when you see fish that are up on the top of the water column, you can usually get them on a little swim bait. Oh, see, there we go. This is exactly what I was talking about. I couldn't stand it no more, seeing all them fish up. So I picked up my little swim bait, and that's about what we're seeing swimming around. A few good ones here and there, but I'm seeing a lot of those. But you can have a lot of fun with that size fish all day long if you want to go catch fish on just a little swim bait. It's called the Little Dipper, and I'm throwing it weightless. I got her. Oh, I broke her off. That was every bit of 10 pounds. Should have retied. That, folks, is the agony of defeat. That was a 10-pound bass all day long. And that happens. I fished for her, and we saw her this morning, and she's a little skittish. Thought we'd just sit down, take a break, have lunch, don't make a noise, turn the graphs off. She won. Oh my goodness. Boy, the agony of defeat sometimes. I'll tell you what, there's big fish to be had here in Apache Lake, and I love this lake. You know, I've got so many great memories on this lake, and I'll tell you, it's great to see at least the largemouth back. And man, one of my favorite all-time lakes. I hate to end a show like that, but I'll tell you what, we'll get them next time. I'll tell you, it happens. It happens, and let that be a lesson to you to make sure every so often you retie. I got caught in the rocks a few times with my bait, and I should have retied. 10-pounders you don't take a chance on. You do for the fishing show, but we had fun. We still caught a big fish today. Oh, I've never been so disappointed leaving a show like this in my life. 30 years of doing this, folks. Thanks for joining us on the show. We'll see if we can catch another big one next week. I'm Johnny Johnson. Now, see, that's what I'm talking about, folks.